Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for Pilates All Levels. My name is Audra, and today we're going to use a ball. If you're at home and you don't have a ball, that's okay. You can fold a pillow or just ignore the prop. And today we're going to work on opening our hips a little bit. We're going to get a little bit of rotation and just start getting a little bit of mobility before we focus on the stability. So go ahead. And first, we are coming on to hands and knees. You can also be on forearms and knees. And we're just going to start with a couple little cat-cow. So just press your spine up towards the sky and see what part is moving. And then let it sink the opposite way and see what part is moving. So a lot of us tend to either flex from our thoracic, right, our rib cage, and then extend through our lumbar or that lower back, or the opposite, right? So for example, I don't have a lot of extension in my lumbar, so my rib cage tries to get that extension. One more, but we're trying to start finding rounding through our whole spine, our neck, our rib cage, our lower back, even to our tailbone. And then the opposite way, right? Widening through our sits bones. Good. Beautiful. And then come back to center. So we're trying to find our neutral, drawing our belly button up, and just exhale, float one hand up, bring it back down, other side. So you can always be on your hands here, but try to find a little doming. So you're putting more pressure through the mounds of your fingertips. A couple little kitty cat paws. See what your body is saying today. Two more. Last set. And come onto your knees. So we're just going to notice what our body is doing, right? So, hello. For example, if your hip bones are pointing down, or your back is arching, or your weight is back, that could indicate that maybe you have some tightness at the front. So we're just going to bring one foot forward. How's your body feeling? Good. And just start to move forward and back a few times. And notice if there's a point where your hip bone gets left behind a little bit and your back tries to get more arch. Good. Couple more. Now there's this thing called relative flexibility, which basically is your body trying to circumvent something hard, right? It's going the path of least resistance. So that's why sometimes if we have tightness here, this is going to be moving. So we come back, tuck the tailbone, sink the ribs back. You might already feel a stretch through the front of your body. Now, instead of trying to move really far forward, we're going to drag ourselves forward just a couple inches and hold, relaxing through the shoulders if possible. Think about that back foot. Push your foot into the ground. Maybe you feel that quad lighting up, right? For 5, 4, 3, 2, big inhale. Big exhale, just stop pressing. Maybe squeeze your glute and see if you get a little bit more pure hip extension. Really squeeze that glute as if you're trying to drive your pubic bone only forward while still drawing your rib cage back. Everybody doing okay? Great. Now think about that back knee. You're going to push the knee down and forward as if trying to come into hip flexion, right? You should feel it lighting up here. For 5, 4, I know it can be a lot. 3, 2, big inhale. Big exhale, relax, squeeze your glute. Now I'm going to bring my front hand down, or hand that corresponds with that back leg, and just squeeze that glute forward a little bit more without letting the hip bone dive forward. Now push into that front foot to bring yourself back up. And then slowly come back down. You can use that hand or not. Push into the foot to bring you back up. So we're using glute and hamstring. Last one like this. Hold. Now, if it's appropriate for your body, we're actually going to reach back and try to get that ankle. Now, if your hips come forward, tuck your tailbone. You don't have to get your heel towards your glute. You might feel a little bit more stretch in that quad. Doing okay? Yeah. You can also just put it on the foam roller. Yeah, there you go. And then imagine pushing the foot away for 5, 4, 3, 2, inhale, exhale, stop pressing. And now imagine dragging your heel towards your glute, even though it's not really moving. That hamstring's gonna light up. Now, the hamstring might cramp. That's okay. We're going to let go and see if we can keep the foot right where it is. For 5, for 4, for 3, 2. Oh, so good, you guys. Slowly lower it down. Take that hand, we're bringing it back to the floor. And then the hand that corresponds with that front foot, where it's going to sweep towards the sky. And then back down. And again. Now, if this doesn't feel okay for any reason, come onto all 4s. And you can rotate that way, okay? No problem. We have 2 more. Last one. Come back, and we get to do the other side. Yay, other side. And just first notice what your body's saying, right? So for example, I'm like, yeah, I feel my hip flexor, but I also am extending through my back, right? So just notice. 2 more. And on this next one, press it back, tuck your tailbone, sink your ribs back. It's like you're trying to hug a big beach ball. And then see if you can drag yourself forward just a teeny tiny bit. I personally feel a lot of stretch here, but that's not where I felt it on the other side, right? So depending on where you're tight, can be different from side to side. Now think about that back foot. Push the back foot down for 5, 4, 3, 2, inhale. Exhale, just stop pressing, squeeze your glute, right? Like it's trying to drive that pubic bone forward, and we hold. And then think about that back knee. We're pressing it down and forward as if trying to come into hip flexion. Still sinking the ribs back. Boop. Yep. For 5, 4, 3, 2, inhale. Exhale, squeeze the glute. Relax, just see where you go. We're holding for a few seconds. And then we can keep dragging ourselves forward. We're gonna bring that hand down, still tucking the tailbone, still squeezing the glute, getting a little bit of openness through the front of the hip. And then think about this front foot pushing you back, maintaining that tuck. And then it can drag you forward. So we're just going through a fuller range of motion here, right? So not only did we stretch, but now we are owning that range a little bit. We're showing our nervous system that it's safe to go into that range and safe to come out of it, right? We get 1 more. Now, if it's appropriate, you can reach back and grab that foot. If it's not appropriate, prop it up on something, right? Tuck your tailbone, right? We're still lifting our hip bones up towards our face, still sinking the ribs back. Now gently push the foot into the hand or surface it's resting on. For 4, 3, 2. Just stop pressing. Imagine squeezing that heel towards your glutes. Good. Now, your hamstring might cramp, but we're going to try to keep it there for 5, 4, 3, 2. You're almost there. 1. Slowly let it lower. Hand comes down. Still squeeze that glute forward. Now we take the hand that corresponds with that front foot, and we're going to rotate, look at the hand, and back. And once again, if this doesn't feel okay, you can always be on both knees. No problem. Getting a little bit of thoracic rotation for 3, 2. Last 1. Nice job. Come on to your back. Good. Now just go ahead, take your hands, gently press them into the fronts of your thighs, getting a little bit of traction. Now extend one leg towards the sky and then cross that ankle over the other leg. And maybe this is where you are. Maybe you can bring that leg up into a figure 4. Now, if you're in a figure 4 and you're really trying to get like that foot close to your face, but your butt is coming up, don't worry about your foot coming up as far. Think about your hips being heavy. We're just breathing for a second. Now, depending on where you feel the stretch is where you're going to press. If you feel the stretch in the front, you're going to push into your hand in the front. If you feel the stretch in the back, you're going to push your hand away from the back. So you're just going to push for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. One more for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. We're going to hold for about 15 more seconds. Breathing into that muscle. And as you exhale, exhale slowly. Now the other foot's just going to come to the ground. Keep your figure 4. Arms can be wide. Think about your toes being an arrow, and you're going to reach that arrow towards the ground. And on your exhale, drag your ribs back from your obliques, right? So it's kind of tempting sometimes, if we are already arching, to just keep arching and drag our hips back from our back. But we're actually trying to sink the front back and down enough that it lets the spine melt. We have 2 more. Last one. And then other side. So extend that leg up, cross it, and then if it's appropriate, you can either stay here or bring it into your figure 4. Now, once again, depending on where you feel the sensation is where we're going to push. So if it's forward, push forward. And if it's back, push back. We're going to push for 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. And one more time. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. And just hang out for about 15 more seconds. And slowly bring that foot down. Arms can be wide. And we reach the toes towards the floor. Exhale, dragging it back from the ribs. And again. allowing the spine to melt, to relax. Start to get the abs activating. Couple more. And 2. Last 1. Good. Unwind, bring both feet to the ground. Take your hands, bring them to your hip bones. And on your exhale, let's get a little bit of deep abdominal activation. So think about your ribs sinking towards your belly button and your hip bones being pulled towards each other. And then inhale, let everything widen. And then exhale, draw everything together. Inhale, let everything widen. Exhale, draw everything together. 2 more. Last one. Hold. Now see if you can really feel that deep abdominal work. And just think of your sacrum, that triangular bone in between your cheeks, pressing down into the ground. See if you just felt more work. Interlace your hands behind your head, spiral your elbows forward. Inhale, let everything relax and widen. Exhale, engage, start to press your sacrum down and then curl your collarbones forward. Good. Looking in between your knees. Good. Hands come forward, push them into an imaginary surface to maybe curl a teeny bit higher. Hands come back behind your head. Hold. Feel where your shoulder blades are. And then slowly, slowly lower down. Let's do it again. We're going to exhale. Curl forward. Fingertips, push. Hands come back, hold. And then slowly, slowly, slowly come down. One more. Good. Hands come behind the head and we hold. Now think about your left foot pushing into the mat and maybe that right leg floats up. Now reach the right leg down, push it into the mat. Actually make activation, right? So we can either set the foot down or we can drive it into the ground as if it's a tree trying to take root. That's what we're going to do right now for a couple reasons. One, it'll get that hamstring active. 2, the more you can feel the back of your leg, the more it's going to downregulate the front of your leg. So if you tend to be really grippy through your hip flexors, pushing into the ground from the hamstring will get your nervous system's attention. If you need to, of course, you can bring your head down. That's no problem. Couple more. And then if it's appropriate, bring one leg at a time to tabletop. Squeeze your inner thighs like you're trying to pop a balloon. You could just squeeze your heels together too, if that feels better. And then tap one toe down, push the foot into the ground, float it back up. Other side, toe, ball, heel, push it into the ground, float it back up. Toe, ball, heel, push, yeah. And again. Now, if you'd like a little bit more excitement, we're going to use the same side hand as leg that's stable. You're going to push the other foot into the ground like you did while pushing into the leg with your armpit. And then switch. Same side, same side. Yeah, for now. Don't worry, we'll get the opposite side going. Now, this should hopefully help you access your serratus and obliques a little bit more. So we're thinking of that pinky finger. We're imagining that we have a little water wing. Good. When you press in, Still think about that thigh bone sinking, and you're pushing in from your abs or from the upper fibers of your psoas as opposed to the lower hip flexors. Now, all we're going to do, rotate, hold, opposite hand, and you can push, yep, and then back, rotate, opposite hand. Now, as we do this, it's tempting to draw that leg across, but what we're actually trying to do is match the force, right? So if I'm here or here or here, we're matching the force. So if I'm trying to pull the knee across, you're actually trying to push it the opposite way from that glute. Now, if this is where you are, great. If you need your head down, great. If you need head down, 1 foot down at all times, also great, right? Your body's going to be different every day, so honor where it is without judgment. And then if you're ready, the only change we're going to make is we're going to start to push that foot away from us, and we hold. And then we slow it down, push it away, like we're trying to reach towards the opposite wall. So we're coming into a crisscross pattern. Good. Couple more. And 3. Anybody not feeling their abs yet? That's what I thought. And 2. Last 1. Hug your knees in towards your chest, head comes down. Nice job, you guys. Now go ahead, bring your feet to the ground. And for just a couple, it's okay to let your spine just move. We're just going to imprint and back to neutral. Okay, just a couple little pelvic rocks. Now, on our exhale, before we move, start to engage your abs. Then let your belly button sink down, hip bones draw toward your face, lower back lengthens towards the ground, pubic bone comes towards your face, and then rock back to neutral. So it's a more controlled movement, right? Just engage, gentle imprint, rock back, again. One more. Now you have options. You can either keep your head down or bring it up. I'll show both. Bring one leg to tabletop. Think about that thigh bone suction cupping in the socket, and we're imprinting and we're coming back to neutral. So if you notice that knee trying to pull you along, think about instead the abs doing the work and the leg is just along for the ride. If your head is up, it's the same thing. Last one, other side. So bring the foot down, float it up, imprint, and neutral. Imprint. Good. Good. Couple more. Good. Good, Annie. 2. Last one. Now we bring the other leg up. Now, if your head is down, it's okay. I want you to actually push into the ground. You can do it with the blade of your hand. We're just going to exhale, imprint, come back to center, right? So if your head is down, you're still sinking your ribs down. If legs together like you're trying to pop a balloon doesn't work, you can always just squeeze your heels together, and you could even bring the ball in between your knees. Okay, no problem. If your head is up, it's the same move. But see if you can maybe get your elbows to your knees. Great. Good. Just a few more. 4. Good. 3. and 2. Last 1. Hold, hold, head down, feet down. Now go ahead, bring your hands forward. We're keeping our head down to start. Now, just start pumping your arms and notice what your body's doing, right? So if as you're doing this, your ribs are kind of moving, see if you can kind of draw them together and down. And on your inhale, really widen and expand through your ribs. Let your pelvic floor and diaphragm lower. So both breaths, inhale and exhale, are helping to stabilize your spine. Now, if this is where you are, fantastic. If you're like, you know what, I want to lift my head, slide your fingertips away, looking forward. If you're like, I want to keep my head down, but I want to lift my feet to tabletop, great. If you're like, I want my head and feet in tabletop, fantastic. And of course, if you want, you can reach your legs away. Monica, look closer to me. Hi, yes. Good. And we're reaching. Yeah. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and bring everything down. And reach your feet and hands away from each other. Take one hand, take one wrist with the opposite hand and reach it up. Give yourself a little bit of a stretch. And then other side. Now you can keep the ball between your knees and your feet on the floor. You can keep your legs extended. We're doing some roll-ups. So if you have a prop you like to be successful, fantastic. Otherwise, reach your fingertips forward as you look forward, maintaining neutral, and then imprint as you slowly roll up. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You guys look so good. All right, reach forward. I'm just going to get rid of this for a second. You can keep it there. I don't mind. Shoulders down. Think about lifting your ribs up and slowly roll, tuck for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Monica, if you look at your feet a little bit longer, it'll help keep you out of your neck. And then exhale, peeling your spine up. Yeah. Good, everybody. Give me a few more. Those look great. How do they feel? Good, amazing, phenomenal, great. Now, if you're at home and you're like, okay, well, I can get down pretty well, but it feels stuck when I get up, or I feel like I have to really wrench myself up. Maybe using a pad underneath your lower back can be really helpful, or bend your knees slightly. So if you're like me, you have tight quads and hip flexors, it can make it harder to let that pelvis rotate, right? So just notice. Good. And if you're like, okay, if I bend my knees, I can imprint easier, then keep them bent a fraction of an inch and see if that helps. Yeah, good. 2 more. Yeah. And then the only thing I'm gonna, do you feel how you just reached forward like this? See if you can keep that on the way up. Yeah, like you're hugging a big beach ball. Hug the beach ball. Yeah, keep hugging it. Keep hugging it. Keep hugging that beach ball. And try to hug that beach ball on the way up. You're gonna round over your beach ball. Sometimes having those hands and arms mimic something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Last one like this. And come all the way up. Good. Scooch to the front of your mat a little bit. For rolling like a ball, we don't often do rolling like a ball. So if when you're here in this really tiny nugget shape, you're like, man, my hips hate this or my back doesn't like this, try knees apart and see if that gives you a little bit more space. Now first, all we're gonna do, tuck your tailbone, lift your heels so you're on your toes. Now, all we do, exhale, float your feet. Tap them down. So if, as you did that, your body went, I'm helping. See if you can think about your core kicking on just a little bit more. You're still hugging up and over your beach ball. Let your neck lengthen so your ears are pointing away from you. Yeah. Now, if for any reason you try this and you're like, this is not for me, don't do it. We have options. Otherwise, I do need you to tuck your chin. I do need you to sink forward over your ribs. We're going to make sure we don't roll onto our neck or our head. Yeah? Inhale as you're on your way back. Exhale, hold. Look at your feet the whole time. Whole time. Good. Inhale back. Good. And then Rachel, it looked like you flattened out a tiny bit. Try to keep the round, right? Be a beach ball. Yeah, keep the beach ball. Keep the beach ball. Gorgeous. Yeah. Did you feel how that was even less effort to do that? Yeah. Now, one reason I want you to look at your feet is if you stop looking at your feet and you try to look up towards the sky, you're going to extend through your neck. You're going to flatten out through your back. It's going to be like a flat tire, and possibly you're going to hit your head, right? So we want to make sure that we're not allowing that to happen. We're a beach ball. Stay a ball. Yeah. Good. Beautiful. Now, what happens if you're like, I can't get the roll? That's okay. You can always come down. You can try it here. You can do it in multiple parts, right? You can roll it down and you can roll it up. One more. Nice job, you guys. Go ahead, grab your prop. If you want more support, bring it behind your back. If you want less support, but a little bit, bring it between your inner thighs. And also, just so you guys know, whatever option you choose, you're not married to it. It's like a second date, first date. You don't have to call it back. You can like get rid of it. You can move it around. So think about grabbing under your thighs, pulling your armpit muscles down just a little so your lats engage. Roll until your arms are straight-ish. Good. Don't roll back quite as far. Yeah, there you go. Now, exhale, let go with one hand, bring it back. Exhale, let go with the other hand. Good. Two more. I think your ball is a little too close. Yeah, good. Yeah. And then maybe walk your feet farther away from you. Yeah, good. And then we're still thinking of pulling the armpit down. Good. Using the breath. Yeah. Now, if you're like, this is too easy, but letting go, it's just hip flexor. We're going to option to up level it is actually press your forearms into your knees. Good. And then just with one arm, push it down, other arm. Good. Couple more. Now hold without letting your body move. Brush the arm out to the side. Good. And bring it back. Doesn't have to go behind you. And try not to look at it. That's the tempting part, right? But if we look at it, our spine's going to go where our head does, right? Good. So we're pressing down. Try to maintain that curl. I personally like the ball between my knees because it gives my inner thighs a friend to hug onto. But maybe that's not what your body needs today. Maybe your body needs more lumbar support, which is great, right? Maybe it doesn't need any support and you're like, I got this. Fantastic. One more each side. We get to add on. Anybody not feeling their abs a little? Okay, we're going to add on. I'm going to start on this side. We're going to take it out, flip the hand, look at it, reach it back, hello, and then scoop it forward. Take it to the side, look at it, reach it back, and then scoop forward just a little bit. Try not to look at it. We're counter rotating, and then we're allowing rotation. Yeah. Couple more. Flip. If your neck is starting to, and then reconnect. Yeah. Good. Feel a little bit better. And then back, and we restack. All right, this next one is Nancy's least favorite. So we're gonna, I know she's out of town. We're gonna bring our elbows forward. We're gonna curl and start to roll back. Hold. Keep the curl here. So Annie, I want you to tuck your tailbone a little bit more for me. Yeah, good. And then just widen through your collarbones, hold, and back. I like how you like snapped it closed like a book. So curl back just a tiny bit more, yeah. And Annie, look down just a little bit. There you go. For 4, 3, 2 more. And then last one, we get to come all the way forward and restack. Good job. We're gonna come on to just a crisscross applesauce position, unless you'd prefer legs extended. And first, we're just gonna see if we rotate to one side without help, where we go. Hold, inhale, slow exhale. See if your body starts trying to rotate more. We're not using our hands here, they're just there for support, okay? And then other side. So we're just seeing where we rotate to, hands go for support. Inhale, slow exhale. See what the nervous system says, right? So sometimes we're gonna do one more round of each. Sometimes if we're missing range, it can be because muscles are like short, or sometimes it's because our nervous system says, I don't want to, right? And if it's because our nervous system says no, trying to fight it isn't actually gonna make us go deeper into a range. So that's why we're allowing our breath to guide us. So now we're gonna rotate to that first side. Exhale, let the nervous system guide us. Now see if we can let go with our hands and hold that same position. And then come back. Other side, so we rotate. Hands stabilize us. We're not pushing into our arms. We're not pushing into our hands. We're using our breath. And then see if you can maintain it when you let go with your arms. So hands up. Don't touch anything with your hands. They're up. And then back. Yeah. Now we're going to try it like this. Did you go as far? If you didn't, you may have been actually trying to pull yourself, right? So then hands down, pull yourself, and then hug yourself again. See if you can maintain that range. Good. And then other side. See where you go? Maybe you need a little assist. See if you can maintain the range. Nice job, you guys. One more each way. Now, why is rotation so important? Because it is. Walking, yeah. So if we're not rotating through our thoracic spine when we walk, we're going to be overusing our calves, over rotating through our lumbar spine, especially L4, L5, and S1. Come back to center. Nice job, you guys. All right, we are coming into a plank. If a plank is not your friend today, you can always just come into quadruped. You can do a plank against a wall. So we are gonna start with the hands about shoulder-ish. And slide one foot out, fold it on in, other foot out. Sorry, Monica, I faked you out. We are gonna do it in a second. You can start just going into it if you want. Yeah, just back and forth, seeing what your body says. Now we're gonna slide one foot out, other foot comes to meet it. Find a tiny little tuck of the tailbone, squeeze of the glutes, Ears come forward. Annie, lift your hip bones just a little bit. Yeah. Good. Gorgeous. And Rachel, I want you to lift your hip bones. Yep, there you go. Now, if this is where you are, fantastic. If you would like, you can bend one knee underneath you, reach it back. Other side. Couple more. For 4, 3. One more set. Knees down. Press yourselves to your rest position. Rolling out those wrists. Good. Now go ahead. Come back into quadruped. We're going to try something a little different. Bring your knees together, but to one side. Let the hips start to go down. Now, you're going to push the floor away, lift your hips. So it's a little bit like a side plank or a rotation plank. Now, if this is for you, this is where you are. Otherwise, you can press your toes into the ground, lift, and hold. Then you can go to the other side. But once again, we're not sinking. We're pushing away, we're rounding. Now you can either go from side to side with the knees up, or knees down. Okay. One more set. Trying to find those obliques. Back to center, knees down, rest position. Nice job. Okay, we're coming onto our side. Now go ahead, use the ball for your little pillow. And we are gonna find our glutes, but first let's find our inner thighs, okay? So think about your ribs sinking back. And I want that top leg to suction cup in the socket so much that it actually, that knee slides behind your bottom knee, that hip might rock back, and then we tuck our tailbone. Good. So this might feel like the opposite of when we do clamshells, and that would be right, okay? So we're rounding, we're tucking, top knee back. Now the only thing we're doing, top knee drives down into the bottom knee. That's it. Everyone feel that inner thigh lighting up? So Monica, does this not feel okay? So all we're doing is we're here, top knee slides back, and then we're not actually moving, we're just intentionally squeezing that knee down. Yeah. Good. Give me a thumbs up if you can feel your inner thigh. Good. 2. Last one. Drive it down for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, 1. Now we unwind our hips, take that top hip bone and reach it forward a little bit. We're not in a heavy arch, but we are thinking of widening through our sits bones. Bottom rib lifts, top knee is slightly forward. Now just spiral the thigh bone in the socket to come into a little clamshell. Slowly lower it down. Exhale, rotate and down. Now, if you're like, I don't get much range, I don't really feel my glute, you can always start with your feet lifted in that internal rotation. We're still lengthening through that top hip. It's still less about getting the knee to the sky and more about just spiraling your thigh bone as if you're screwing in a light bulb. Good, we have 4, 3, 2 more. Last 1. If your feet are up, bring them down. We're extending that top leg away from you. I want you to try to keep it in line with your torso so it's not forward. So everybody glance down at your foot. You should barely be able to see your toes. and then push it towards the opposite wall so much that it lifts your bottom ribs. Good. Now, drag it back behind you a couple inches so those glutes are on, yeah? And then paintbrush it up a wall just a few inches, squeegee it down. Paintbrush it up, squeegee it down, yeah. Now, here's the thing. If we're trying to get the foot to the sky, our body is going to get there however we want. And we're trying to find glute assist as opposed to TFL and QL, right? So that's why our foot is slightly behind us. We're pushing it away, and it's not about how high it can go. 2 more. Last one. Now, keeping it in neutral, we're going to do tiny circles. So knee stays forward for 5, 4, letting the thigh bone just stir in the socket, and then reverse the circle for 5. Good. 4. You're all amazing. 3, 2. Now the only change we're going to make, same thing, small external rotation through that thigh bone. Now, if the hip bone moves, that meant that you moved your whole pelvis. We just want the knee to point up a little bit. Tiny circles. See if it feels the same or if it feels different. Good for 5, 4, 3, 2. Knees still pointing slightly to the sky. Reverse. Knee still points slightly to the sky. Everybody feel that glute even more? Yeah. 2 and 1. Other side. So you can roll over, or I'm going to flip over. We're starting with that inner thigh. Now, we did so much hip stretching earlier, right? So take that top leg, suction cup it in the socket, slide it back, tuck your tailbone, sink your ribs. All we're going to do, think about driving that top knee down. No movement's really happening. Yeah. So right there, Monica. Yeah. Good. And then suction cup it, slide it back, hold that. Now just drive your top knee down. Yeah. Feel that inner thigh? Good. So our TFL often tries to be in charge of certain moves, which can bully our inner thigh. So we're hopefully feeling just that inner thigh and not that front pocket. 2 more. Last one, hold it down. Annie, feeling that inner thigh? Good. Rachel, you still good? Good. All right, now relax. We're going to go the opposite way. So unwind. So spread your tail feathers wide, roll your top hip bone forward, slide that top knee forward, spiral that thigh bone in the socket, and back down. Now, maybe you're like, but here I don't have a lot of range. That's fine. Maybe you lift your feet and you start an internal rotation. Maybe you don't. Maybe internal rotation isn't for you today, right? So maybe this is where you are, and that's great. If you're having trouble finding your glute, a couple things you can try would be bringing your heels a little bit farther back so they're closer to in line with your tailbone. Yeah, possibly lifting the feet. Good. We have 4. Good. Thinking of your hip bone still pointing forward like little gunslingers. 2. Last one. If your feet are up, bring them down. Extend that top leg, extend it so much that that bottom rib starts to lift. Glance down, make sure that you can just barely see your toes. Push the foot away, and we paintbrush it up a wall. Squeegee it down. Good, paintbrush it up. Squeegee it down. Good. Now, one of the great things about if you let your foot paintbrush up, you're actually moving your leg from the glute as opposed to your calf, right? So that's one reason why letting it dangle is fantastic. We have 4, 3, still reaching it away. Everybody feeling that glute a little? Good, 2. Every time I do this, I feel like I'm giving a speech, like, we will feel that glute. Yes, we can. And we're gonna circle that foot a little bit, or circle the thigh bone in the socket, foot can relax for 4, 3, 2, reverse. Now the only change we're gonna make, we're gonna think about that thigh bone rotating up just a little bit. So maybe that knee wants to point up a little. Same thing, circle. Still try to let that foot come along for the ride rather than leading the charge. 3, 2, reverse the circle. For 4, 3, 2, last one, and relax. We're coming on to our stomachs real quickly, you guys. Now, if you have some flesh in front of you and it feels like your just head is dangling, you can always bring your forehead onto the ball if that feels better for you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. We're gonna suction cup our hands to the floor, drag our elbows and hands down like we're doing a lat pull or a pull up. So I want those armpit muscles engaged. Now squeeze your glutes, press your hands and elbows into the ground to lift your collarbones a little like you're being shot out of a cannon. Nod your chin for me a little bit. And then relax your back a little bit. Yeah, good. Now inhale, keep your back relaxed. Exhale, don't move, just float your arms. And then bring it back down. So what we're trying to do is bypass our erectors. So if you feel your back doing the work, I need you to use your hands and elbows. So Annie, I want you to think about tucking your tailbone for me a little bit. Then use your hands to get you there. No, push into the ground to use your hands. Yeah, hold that. Now float. Does that feel different? Yeah, yeah, good. Good, good. It's really different than what we're used to, right? But those erectors, if they get used to overworking, we can't actually use our tiny little stabilizers, right? So those multifidus tend to get overlooked. Now, we're gonna press, lift, hold that. Now reach one arm forward, bring it back. Other arm. If you need your hands down, no problem. We're squeezing our glutes, but maybe our feet aren't off the ground. Maybe they are. Maybe they're still on the ground, right? One more each side. Now hands down, press yourself into a little rest position. And we're only gonna do one more little baby back extension move. In just a second, it should feel good. But sometimes we gotta move the opposite directions, right? Okay, we're gonna come back onto our stomach. Think about lifting our hip bone, hands come forward, still suction cup them to the ground. And we float one arm opposite leg, push into the ground, switch. Now, if this does not feel great on your back for any reason, don't do it, right? You can either squeeze one glute, maybe the foot lifts, maybe it doesn't, and then maybe try an arm. If you feel your neck a lot with the arm, instead of lifting it, imagine lifting it. Still gonna tell your nervous system that you are, right? Sometimes, if we have pain with our movement, instead of forcing it, it's actually better to just imagine doing it with zero pain. One more. And then if you want, you can hover and swim for 5. 4, relaxing your back though. 3, good. 2, 1. Press yourself back into your rest position. Hands up and over to one side. press your hips the other way. And then other side. And then of course, it wouldn't be class without a little bit of balance work. So come to standing. Now first, we're just gonna try to get each side of our brain to work together. So we're gonna touch opposite side. Yep. Now maybe if you're like, but I don't have the balance for that. Okay. You kick a foot up, tap the hip instead. No problem. If you're like, this is too easy, you can always do the one that's harder for me, which is you take it across. Yeah. Yeah. Like 90s hip hop. Good. Yeah. Good. All right. Now bring your feet together and close your eyes. And just feel the sway. That's normal. That postural sway is the effect that breath and gravity have on you, right? If we don't practice balance, sometimes as we suffer injury or we get older, that postural sway really increases. So if this feels good and easy, keep your eyes closed, turn your head over one side, and then other side. Now maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you're like, this is too easy, and you float a leg up. And then maybe if you have that leg floating up, you do the other side. If you're in between feet together and foot up, bring one foot in front of the other like a tightrope. Two more. Last one. Good. Bring your feet together. You can do either together or tightrope. You're going to bring finger or thumb in front of your face. Now, you're going to keep looking at that thumb. You're not going to stop looking at it. It's going to stay still. You're going to keep looking at it as you turn your head. And then the thumb stays still. You're going to keep looking at it as you turn your head. And again. And again. One more each side. Now switch your feet, switch your thumbs. Now this time, you're going to keep looking at your thumb, but now your head isn't going to move. You're going to keep looking at your thumb as it comes across your body and out to the side. Keep tracking it though. If you're going way past the point where it's easy to track while keeping your head still, don't go as far. So trying to keep that chin still. Just track it with your eyes. Last one. Good. Feet together. Flip your palms to the sky. Open your heart. And relax. Nice job, you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining me. You're all amazing.